Picture this. It is 2:30 in the afternoon. You are sitting at your desk, staring at a screen, and that third cup of coffee you had an hour ago is just aggressively turning against you.
Yeah, we've all been there. It's not fun.
No, it's really not. You know the feeling, right? Your leg is bouncing, your heart is doing this unpleasant little flutter, but your brain is completely foggy.
Right, you're wired but entirely exhausted at the same time.
Exactly. It's the classic, inevitable, jittery mid-afternoon crash. And honestly, if you are listening to this at your desk right now, just look at your coffee mug. I mean, we drink it because we want focus, but we are actually just borrowing energy from tomorrow.
It's a totally universal experience,
Yeah.
for anyone trying to force productivity in a modern environment.
Hmm.
We rely on this brute force method of just spiking our central nervous system just to get through the afternoon slump.
Just hammering the gas pedal.
Right. We treat our biology like an engine that, well, it just needs more combustible fuel, completely regardless of the wear and tear it causes.
So today, we are going on a mission to explore an emerging clean energy hack that changes that equation entirely.
Yeah, and the data on this is fascinating.
It really is. Looking at the stack of sources today, we've got everything from these dense neurochemical research papers mapping out amino acids, all the way to, like, highly detailed personal logs from Silicon Valley biohackers.
And they are using this protocol to enter what they call deep work, or monk mode.
Monk mode, right. And it involves a highly specific, honestly counterintuitive sequence. It is consuming pure cocoa liquor, followed immediately by tea.
Which sounds simple, but the chemistry is wild.
Yeah. So whether you are prepping for a massive work deadline where you just need absolute focus, or you are just insanely curious about optimizing your biology, we're going to break down the exact science of this ritual.
And we should give a fair warning to you listening right now.
Yeah.
We are also going to get into the surprising physical risks.
Oh yeah, big time. Because this isn't just about making a tasty little beverage.
No, not at all. We are moving far away from the traditional spikes that coffee gives you. What we are looking at here is a much more sophisticated biochemical interaction.
So we're combining two things.
All right. We are taking two ancient plants and combining them to create a state that basically balances profound stimulation with really deep physical relaxation.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the problem, right? That coffee crash happens because coffee acts like a sledgehammer to your nervous system.
Exactly. It's a blunt instrument.
But when we look at the chemical solution happening in the brain with this pure cocoa and tea combination, we are talking about a completely different symphony of molecules.
Yeah, it starts with the cocoa, specifically a compound called theobromine.
Right, theobromine. What exactly is that doing?
So theobromine is the primary stimulant found in cocoa, but it behaves entirely differently than the caffeine in coffee.
How so? Like a stimulant is a stimulant, right?
Well, no. Instead of targeting the central nervous system to put your fight or flight response on high alert, theobromine acts as a cardiovascular stimulant and a mild vasodilator.
Oh, a vasodilator. So it's not a stimulant in the way we usually think of it. It's more of a plumbing upgrade. It is literally physically widening your blood vessels.
That is a really great way to visualize it, yeah.
Yeah.
It gently relaxes the smooth muscle tissue that lines your blood vessels.
Okay, so the pipes get wider.
Right. When those muscles relax, the vessels open up, and this mechanically increases blood flow and oxygen delivery throughout your entire body. But most importantly, to your brain.
So you're getting more oxygen without the panic.
Exactly. Because it is operating on the circulatory system rather than shocking the central nervous system, you completely avoid that sharp spike in blood pressure. The energy comes on so smoothly, and it's incredibly long-lasting.
That sounds ideal. But then, and this is what confused me in the sources, the biohackers introduced the second step, drinking tea.
Right. The tea follows the cocoa?
But tea brings caffeine into the mix. If we are putting caffeine into this newly widened circulatory system, aren't we just, doubling down on the jitters?
You would naturally assume so, yeah. Because caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors.
Adenosine, right. That's the sleep chemical.
Basically, yes. Adenosine is essentially the brain's sand glass. It accumulates grain by grain throughout the day, attaching to receptors to signal that you are getting tired.
Okay, so it builds up and makes you sleepy.
Right. And caffeine acts like a cork, just plugging those receptors up so you feel a sudden rush of sharp alertness. And that usually peaks within 30 to 60 minutes.
So there's the spike, but why no jitters?
Well, tea brings a secret weapon to the table that coffee just lacks. It's an amino acid called L-theanine.
L-theanine, and what does L-theanine do to stop the caffeine from making my leg do that crazy bounce under the desk?
It's amazing, actually.
Yeah.
L-theanine physically alters the electrical activity in your brain. When it crosses the blood-brain barrier, it promotes alpha brainwave activity.
That alpha waves, like when you're meditating.
Exactly like that. Alpha waves are the specific frequencies your brain produces when you are in a state of creative, calm thinking, very similar to a deep meditative state.
Wow, okay.
So chemically, it acts as a direct counterweight to the caffeine, smoothing out those physiological jitters right at the neurological level.
That is wild. So if drinking a double espresso is like a jittery drag race, this theobromine and L-theanine combo sounds like cruising down the highway on biological cruise control.
I love that analogy.
Right. Like you are going incredibly fast, but the ride feels completely effortless.
What's fascinating here is how these three distinct compounds, the theobromine, caffeine, and L-theanine, how they synergize.
Yeah.
They create a very specific physiological state known as alert relaxation.
Alert relaxation. That sounds like an oxymoron, but it makes sense.
Yeah, and for focus-heavy tasks, it vastly outperforms coffee. Because the widened blood vessels from theobromine plus the alpha waves from L-theanine, they actively blunt the sharp, anxiety-inducing intensity of the caffeine.
So your mind is entirely awake, but your biology remains perfectly calm.
Perfectly calm, yes.
Okay, so you are awake, your biology is calm, the blood is flowing nicely. That covers the mechanics of how you stay alert. But the research papers in our stack emphasize that this combination doesn't just wake you up, right?
No, it goes much deeper than that.
Right. It fundamentally alters your mood. It actually changes your emotional resilience when facing a tough task. And it all comes down to a really wild chemical cocktail locked inside the pure cocoa.
Pure cocoa is just a remarkably complex plant. When you consume it in its unadulterated form, you are ingesting trace amounts of phenylethylamine.
Phenylethylamine. Okay.
Yeah, often abbreviated as PEA,
Yeah.
as well as precursors to anandamide.
Anandamide. Wait, that sounds like a yoga retreat, not a neurochemical.
Well, you're not far off. The name actually derives from the Sanskrit word for joy.
Really?
Yeah, it is aptly referred to in the medical literature as the bliss molecule.
The bliss molecule. That sounds almost illegal.
Well, it binds to the exact same cannabinoid receptors in the human brain as THC does.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Obviously, it operates in a much milder, non-intoxicating way. But its biological purpose is to promote a profound feeling of well-being and contentment.
But the human body usually metabolizes those happy molecules pretty fast, doesn't it? Like, you eat a great meal, you feel a wave of joy for a minute, and then, it's just gone.
Usually, yes. The body is highly efficient at clearing them out. But pure cocoa contains a built-in defense mechanism against that rapid breakdown.
And what is that?
MAO inhibitors, monoamine oxidase inhibitors.
Wait, I have seen MAO inhibitors listed as heavy-duty prescription antidepressants. How are they working in the cocoa?
Well, think of monoamine oxidase as a fleet of chemical street sweepers in your brain.
Street sweepers. Okay, I'm with you.
Their entire job is to clean up excess neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and our bliss molecule, anandamide. They do this to keep your mood at a normal baseline level.
Just sweeping away the extra joy so you don't get too happy.
Basically, yeah. But the MAO inhibitors in the pure cocoa, they essentially put those street sweepers on a coffee break.
So the street sweepers park their trucks, and the bliss molecules just get to throw a block party in your brain that lasts for hours.
That is the functional result, yeah. Because the breakdown process is delayed, that spike in serotonin, endorphins, and anandamide is sustained over a much longer period.
Which gives you that resilience.
Exactly. You get a noticeable, resilient mood lift that typically sets in within about 20 to 40 minutes of ingestion.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, right now, staring down a stressful deadline? Because I have to ask, are we just talking about a temporary sugar high here?
Not at all.
Because chasing a bliss molecule sounds dangerously close to just getting high on chocolate to avoid doing your work.
It is crucial to remember the strict parameters of this protocol. We're talking about pure cocoa liquor.
Right. No sugar.
There is absolutely zero sugar involved, which means no glucose spike and no subsequent insulin crash. You are not getting high. You are optimizing cerebral oxygenation.
Delivering more raw oxygen directly to the brain cells to change how they process stress.
Correct. Both the cocoa and the tea are incredibly dense with flavanols and polyphenols.
And those are antioxidants, right?
Potent antioxidants. And their primary job here is to improve endothelial function. The endothelium is the delicate lining of your blood vessels.
Okay.
When you nourish that lining with flavonols and the theobromine is actively widening the vessels, your body naturally boosts its production of nitric oxide.
Which means more blood flow.
Yes. Listeners might actually feel a physical sensation of warmth spreading through their chest and neck.
Oh, like a literal flush of heat.
Yeah. But more importantly, this flood of oxygen-rich blood clears out mental fog. It creates genuine emotional resilience.
So it changes how you perceive the work.
Exactly. It transforms a daunting, stressful deadline into a manageable flow state, simply because your brain is bathed in oxygen and your neurotransmitters are chemically stabilized.
Okay, so your brain is throwing an oxygenated block party, cruising on biological cruise control. It sounds absolutely perfect. But if I am reading these biohacker logs correctly, while your brain is in bliss, your gut is aggressively preparing for an eviction.
That is a very accurate way to put it.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because most of us think of chocolate and tea as a comforting, cozy treat.
Like something you have on a snowy day with a blanket.
Exactly. But engaging with the pure forms of these ancient plants sounds almost violently disruptive to the human digestive system.
We really have to look at the harsh physical reality of what you're actually ingesting here. Pure cocoa liquor, by its very nature, is roughly 50% fat.
Wait, half the volume of what you're consuming is just pure fat?
Yeah.
Hitting an empty stomach all at once?
It is incredibly dense cocoa butter.
No wonder the gut panics. I mean, that's intense.
It is a massive shock to the system. Furthermore, pure cacao mass is highly acidic.
Okay, so fat and acid?
Right. And when you combine that intense acidity and heavy fat content with the physical heat of the tea that follows it, you directly and aggressively stimulate the vagus nerve.
The vagus nerve, that's the superhighway connecting your brain to your digestive tract.
Exactly. It's a bidirectional superhighway.
So if the vagus nerve is a superhighway, dropping a bomb of hot acidic fat onto it sounds like causing a multi-car pileup. What does the digestive system do when it gets that kind of alarm signal?
It hits the panic button and initiates a rapid metabolic reset. It dramatically accelerates peristalsis.
Peristalsis, meaning?
Peristalsis is the involuntary constriction and relaxation of the muscles of your intestines. It's what pushes contents forward.
Meaning it is going to make you need a bathroom immediately.
It is an unavoidable physiological response. Cocoa is a known natural laxative, and the addition of warm tea just accelerates the entire process.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, within 30 to 60 minutes of this ritual, you can absolutely expect a very strong, undeniable digestive rush.
Hold on. You're telling me high performers are willingly spending their afternoon rushing to the bathroom just to finish a spreadsheet?
The focus is that good, apparently.
That's dedication. And the biohacker logs mention it's not just the stomach, right? It's a sensory shock to the mouth as well.
Oh, it is incredibly astringent. In nature, plants use tannins as a defense mechanism to deter herbivores. They do this by making the animal's mouth impossibly dry.
And tea is packed with tannins.
Loaded with them. When those tannins from the tea combine with the intense, unyielding bitterness of 100% pure cacao, they act like chemical sponges.
Chemical sponges.
Yeah, they literally strip the lubricating salivary proteins right off your tongue and your cheeks.
Oh, that sounds awful.
It leaves your mouth feeling violently puckered, completely dry, and really chalky.
And what if someone attempts this on an empty stomach? You know, to maximize the focus.
Well, the combination of the profound bitterness, the stripping of those salivary proteins, and that heavy fat load hitting an empty stomach, it could very easily trigger acute nausea. Yes, especially for anyone who isn't biologically accustomed to raw cacao.
I have to push back here. I mean, is the cognitive payoff really worth feeling physically sick, nauseous, and strapped to a bathroom? This just sounds miserable.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it actually explains a lot about human history.
How so?
For centuries, modern society has heavily buffered these ancient plants. We add milk, we add loads of sugar, we process them down into candy bars and sweet lattes.
Right, to make them taste good.
Exactly. We do that precisely to avoid this astringency and this violent digestive shock. But by removing those modern buffers, you are forcing your body to experience these compounds in their most highly bioavailable, intense forms.
So you have to pay the toll.
Yes. Accessing that elite level of cognitive power simply demands a physical toll. Biology requires equilibrium.
So you are bypassing the buffers to get the raw chemical benefits of the theobromine and MAO inhibitors, but the cost of entry is navigating the unbuffered, harsh realities of the plants.
Exactly. You can't have one without the other.
But the digestive rush isn't even the most dangerous part of this process, is it?
No, it's not.
Because building on that physical toll, There is a microscopic battle happening in your gut when you drink these two things together. It is a severe negative interaction between the nutrients in the cocoa and the compounds in the tea.
Yes.
The research papers call it the iron trap.
This is perhaps the most critical physiological interaction for listeners to understand, because it can have lasting health consequences.
Hooray, let's break this down.
Pure cocoa is a fantastic, dense source of non-heme iron. In theory, it is incredibly nutrient-rich.
Which sounds great. I mean, iron builds red blood cells. It gives us our baseline energy.
It does. However, the tea you are drinking right after it is packed with those tannins we just mentioned, and also compounds called oxalates.
Okay, tannins and oxalates.
When the iron from the cocoa and the tannins from the tea meet in your intestinal tract, they create a chemical trap known as chelation.
Chelation, what does that actually look like?
The tannins act like powerful molecular magnets. They actively seek out the non-heme iron and lock onto it.
So they physically bind together so tightly that your intestinal walls just can't absorb the iron into your bloodstream. It just becomes useless waste.
Precisely. Drinking tea immediately after cocoa can reduce your body's ability to absorb that iron by an astonishing 50 to 70%.
Wait, 70%. So by trying to biohack your mental focus for an afternoon of work, you could actually make yourself clinically anemic if you do this wrong.
For individuals who are already prone to anemia or menstruating women who naturally have higher iron requirements, absolutely.
That is a massive risk.
It is. You are effectively neutralizing the mineral benefits of the cocoa entirely. This raises an important question about how blindly we adopt these hacks without actually understanding the chemistry.
And what about the oxalates you mentioned? That's another chemical getting thrown into this gut battle.
Right. Both pure cocoa and tea are notoriously high in oxalates. Consuming them successively causes a massive spike in urinary oxalate levels as your body tries to filter them out.
Filtering out oxalates. That sounds like a kidney issue.
Exactly. For the vast majority of the population, this is easily handled by the kidneys. But for individuals who are genetically predisposed to kidney stones, this double dose of oxalates can significantly increase the risk of crystallization.
Meaning kidney stones.
Yes, actual stone formation.
Wow. Not to mention the double dose of stimulants. Because even with the L-theanine from the tea working hard to smooth things out neurologically, you are still physically stacking theobromine and caffeine.
That's a lot of stimulation for the heart.
Right. The sources note that for sensitive individuals, this sheer volume of stimulation can trigger a racing heart rate and mild tension-style headaches.
Understanding the underlying biology of these compounds is the only way to safely implement this protocol without causing yourself physical harm.
You can't just wing it.
No, you cannot just throw these plants into your body and hope for the best. Timing is absolutely everything.
So if I'm sold on the focus, but I'm terrified of making myself anemic or spending my entire afternoon in the bathroom, how do the high performers in these sources actually time this to survive the biology?
It's all about the sequence.
Let's lay out the practical step-by-step playbook. How do you, the listener, actually execute this safely?
Well, it all depends on your primary overriding goal for the day. We have two distinct sequences extracted from the data.
Okay.
Let's look at the flow state sequence first. This is for absolute maximum cognitive focus.
So this is the emergency protocol. When you have a massive spreadsheet that needs to be done in 2 hours, your job is on the line and you need absolute mental clarity.
Exactly. In that specific scenario, you consume the pure cocoa liquor first.
Cocoa first. Why?
You want the slower-acting theobromine to enter your system, navigate the digestive tract, and begin that gentle widening of your blood vessels.
Getting the plumbing upgraded first so the highway is wide open.
That's exactly right. Then, shortly after finishing the cocoa, you drink the tea. This strategically layers the caffeine and L-theanine on top of the widened blood vessels.
I see.
It delivers that targeted mental lift and alpha brainwave activity precisely as the blood flow to the brain is peaking.
But doing it that way, cocoa first, then tea right on top of it, that is exactly what triggers the molecular magnets, right? That's the iron trap.
Yes, that is the trade-off. If you choose this sequence, you must accept that you will lose the vast majority of the iron absorption.
Because the tannins catch the iron.
Right. So if your goal is daily health, longevity, and nutrient retention, you must use the health-conscious sequence.
Okay, so how does the timing shift for the health-conscious route?
You reverse the order entirely, and you add a mandatory time buffer. You drink your tea first. Then, you must wait at least 60 minutes.
So that 1-hour buffer isn't just a suggestion, it is a biological necessity.
It is non-negotiable. You have to wait for the tannins and oxalates from the tea to fully clear the stomach and upper digestive tract.
Okay, that makes sense.
Once that 60-minute window has safely passed, then you consume the pure cocoa. This sequence ensures that when the iron from the cocoa finally arrives in your gut, the tannin magnets are simply no longer there to bind to it.
Which effectively protects your iron absorption.
Precisely.
So you really need to ask yourself what your mission is today. Are you chasing that elusive flow state to finish a project at the expense of your mineral absorption? Or are you prioritizing your cellular health and your iron levels?
It requires deep intention. You have to know what you want out of it.
Yeah.
And regardless of which sequence you choose to deploy, there is a third, non-negotiable step: aggressive hydration.
Water. Lots of it.
Yes, both pure cocoa and tea act as mild diuretics. Over a 2-hour period of intense focus, you will experience a net loss of bodily fluids.
So you're drying yourself out while you work.
Exactly. If you
Yeah.
don't actively replenish with water alongside this ritual, you will develop dehydration-induced headaches.
Which ruins the whole thing.
Completely. It will completely shatter the deep work state you just navigated a biological gauntlet to achieve.
You'll just be staring at the screen with a pounding head instead of a foggy brain, which, entirely defeats the purpose of the hack.
If we synthesize all of this, practical application requires a lot from you. It requires a high tolerance for intensely bitter, astringent flavors,
Definitely.
a physical readiness for a metabolic reset in your gut, and highly strategic timing. But the reward for respecting the biology is a rare state of what the research calls deep life clarity.
Deep life clarity. It is just wild to think about the microscopic battles happening in our bodies just to read an email faster.
It really is an incredible biological process.
So to briefly recap this journey we've been on, we started with that awful volatile coffee crash that happens when we treat our nervous system like a piñata.
Which we do far too often.
Way too often. But by combining pure cocoa and tea, you replace that crash with alert relaxation. You get theobromine, physically opening up your blood vessels like a plumbing upgrade, bringing raw oxygen to your brain. You get the bliss molecule and MAO inhibitors, those chemical street sweepers on a coffee break, stabilizing your mood for hours.
And you get caffeine for alertness, perfectly smoothed out by the alpha waves generated by the L-theanine in the tea.
Right. Provided, of course, that you can navigate the heavy digestive rush of 50% pure fat, the vagus nerve multi-car pileup, and the chemical iron trap that occurs when tannins and iron collide in your gut.
It's a lot to balance. You have to respect the underlying biology of the plants, or they will make you pay for it.
They definitely will. Which actually brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with. Throughout all these biohacker logs and research papers, the absolute key to this entire hack is purity.
Pure cocoa liquor.
Right. It only works if you use pure cocoa. No sugar, no milk. The sources emphasize that removing those modern comforts is the only way to engage with these compounds in their most intense, highly bioavailable form.
You have to strip away the comfort.
Exactly. So if this bitter, intense, almost harsh physical state is how these ancient plants actually maximize our biological potential, what does our modern insistence on diluting everything with milk and sugar say about our relationship with natural performance?
That is a fascinating way to look at it.
Are we so afraid of a little bitterness and astringency that we are actively buffering ourselves from our own potential?
That is a profound question. We instinctively crave the comfort of the buffer. But in doing so, we might be neutralizing the very chemistry that could propel us forward.
Something to mull over the next time you instinctively reach for a sweet, milky latte at 2:30 in the afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning, keep exploring the science behind your daily rituals, and we will see you next time.